For 3 months, Maria knew him only as Leo, the quiet janitor. He always had a kind word and smelled faintly of bleach. He was a fixture in the chaos of St. Jude's Hospital, a silent, steady presence. He was the guy who cleaned up the messes no one else wanted to. The one who would nod and move aside for surgeons who strode the halls like they owned them. To almost everyone, he was completely invisible. But one Tuesday, Maria saw something that just didn't add up. Something so out of place it felt like a glitch in reality. Peeking around a corner, she saw a polished $1,000 shoe. The shoe stepped out of a tiny janitor's closet, followed by a man in a sharp suit. This man, who looked like he could buy the building with a bored sigh, was shaking Leo's hand. It wasn't a casual shake, but a grip of deep, genuine respect. Maria couldn't help but wonder, who is Leo? Before we get into Maria's search for the truth, go ahead and subscribe. And be sure to ring that notification bell, because you won't want to miss our incredible stories. Maria tried to shake it off, telling herself she was just tired. She was running on fumes and too much coffee after a grueling 12-hour shift. It was totally possible she'd imagined the whole thing, a waking dream from exhaustion. After all, Leo was the exact opposite of that man in the suit. He was in his late 60s, with the calloused hands of a man who'd worked hard his whole life. He wore the standard-issue grey janitor's uniform on him like a second skin. He didn't say much, but when he did, his voice was always calm. He'd once helped Maria clean up supplies she'd dropped, her hands shaking after a tough code blue. "It's only things," he'd said. "You did your best," which grounded her more than anything. So seeing him with a man in a Tom Ford suit who called him Mr. Sterling had to be a mistake. She decided it must have been a hallucination from being overworked. She forced herself to focus on her charts, her world of order and logic. A week went by and the weird memory started to fade. Then came the second anomaly, as Maria was running late for work. She cut down a quiet side street near the staff entrance as a car pulled away. It wasn't just any car, it was a black Maybach, a vehicle so luxurious it seemed to glide. For a split second, through the tinted rear window, she saw a familiar profile. A man taking off a cashmere overcoat and pulling on a grey work shirt. It was Leo. He didn't see her as he got out, shutting the door with a soft, expensive thud. The car purred away, and Leo, holding his beat-up lunchbox, walked to the hospital. Maria froze, her heart hammering. This was not a hallucination. This was real, and janitors don't get dropped off in $600,000 cars. Her mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation for what she had witnessed. Every possible reason she came up with felt flimsy and unbelievable. That day, she couldn't look at him the same way. Every time he passed her in the hall, 1,000 questions screamed in her head. The man who scrubbed floors had stepped out of unimaginable luxury just hours before. She started to really watch him and noticed the quiet dignity he carried himself with. She saw the intelligence in his eyes as he'd pause and observe the chaos around him. He wasn't just a janitor. He was someone else entirely, wearing the uniform like a perfect disguise. Maria's curiosity turned into a quiet obsession. She tweaked her routine, taking coffee breaks where she could watch that side street. But she never saw the car again. It was like he knew he'd been spotted. So, instead of trying to catch him, she decided to get closer. She started talking to him, moving past their usual polite nods. She found him one afternoon in the cafeteria, sitting alone with his lunch. "Is this seat taken?" she asked, approaching his table. Leo looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes before a warm smile took its place. "It's all yours, Maria," he replied, gesturing to the empty chair. She was shocked he knew her name, since she was just one of dozens of nurses. "You know my name," she said, stating the obvious. "I make it a point to know the names of the people who do the real work around here," he replied. He told her, "You're good at what you do. Kind to the patients, you have a gentle touch." His words were so specific and heartfelt, they completely disarmed her. For the next 20 minutes they just talked, and she found herself opening up. She told him about her crushing student loans, something she never talked about. She confessed her dream of one day opening a small, free clinic in a poor neighborhood. Leo just listened, not offering easy solutions or tired platitudes. He just nodded, and when she finished, he gave her his heartfelt support. "The world needs more people who want to build things instead of just profiting," he said. "It's a worthy dream, Maria. Don't let anything convince you otherwise." Their lunches became a regular thing, and with every conversation Maria felt more conflicted. She learned about the life he claimed to have, a widower with no kids who liked his simple job. On one hand, she was growing genuinely fond of this kind, wise old man. But the other part of her couldn't ignore the blaring alarm bells. The mystery was still there, lurking beneath the surface of their new friendship. And then came the third anomaly, the one that blew the entire mystery wide open. She was looking for an IV pole and checked a nearby supply closet. The door was slightly ajar, and she heard Leo's voice, but it was different. All the gentleness was gone, replaced by a tone of crisp, absolute authority. "No, not a merger, a full acquisition," he said, his voice low but firm. "Liquidate the shares in Helios Corp and divert the full 90 million to the Geneva project." "I don't care what the board says," he finished. "This is not a request." Maria's blood ran cold. $90 million. Just as she was about to back away, the closet door swung open. Leo stood there, phone in hand, and for the first time, his mask slipped. Panic flashed in his eyes before he replaced it with a flustered, guilty look. "Maria," he stammered, shoving the phone in his pocket. I was just ordering some new floor polish. The prices are astronomical." The lie was so bad it was almost funny, just hanging in the air between them. He knew she had heard, and she knew he was insulting her intelligence. All the friendship they had built seemed to vanish in that one instant. She couldn't speak, just staring at him with confusion and a sharp sense of betrayal. She gave a numb nod and simply walked away from him. Her heart was roaring in her ears as she left the corridor. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place a few days later. A famous philanthropist, Amelia Vance, was visiting a patient on the floor. Maria saw her in a quiet corridor, speaking with Leo, tears in her eyes. "Thank you," the woman whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "The experimental treatment for my brother. You saved his life, Leonard. Your secret is safe," she added, "but the world is less for you hiding in it." Leo, or Leonard, just nodded at her grateful words. "Just make sure he rests," he replied quietly before walking away. This wasn't just about a car. This man was tangled in a world of unimaginable power. He was moving mountains from the shadows of a hospital, saving lives with a phone call. She felt a dizzying mix of awe, fear, and hurt that he hadn't trusted her with the truth. She deserved an explanation, and she was going to get it. Maria's shift ended at 7, but she didn't go to the locker room. Instead, she walked straight to the janitorial station in the basement. Leo was there cleaning his tools, and his smile faltered when he saw her face. "Maria," he said, his voice cautious, "is everything all right?" "No," she replied, her own voice stronger than she expected. "Nothing is all right, Leo. Or should I say, Leonard?" He flinched at the name and let out a long, weary sigh. It was the sigh of a man who had finally been caught. He didn't deny it, just looked at her, his kind eyes full of deep sadness. "I saw you," she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "The man in the suit, the Maybach, the $90 million phone call. And I saw you with Amelia Vance. She called you Leonard for saving her brother." She took a step closer, her voice filled with hurt. "I spent the last month telling you my dreams. I thought we were friends." "I don't even know who you are," she pleaded. "Who are you?" He leaned back against a metal shelf, the simple janitor persona dissolving. His expression shifted as the disguise he wore finally fell away. "My name is Leonard Sterling," he said, his voice a whisper. The name hit her like a physical punch. Leonard Sterling. Not just some rich guy, but the reclusive CEO of Sterling Industries. One of the wealthiest men in the world had been cleaning the toilets on her floor. "That's not possible," she whispered, trying to process it all. "My wife Helen died 2 years ago," Leonard said, his gaze lost in a painful memory. "She died in a hospital like this, with the best doctors, but none of it mattered. In her last weeks, the people who showed her the most kindness were a nurse and a janitor. The nurse hummed to her when she was scared," he recalled, "and the janitor made sure her window was clean so she could see the sunrise. He looked at Maria, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "My wife's last words to me were, 'Find your way back, Leo.' She said, 'Go be invisible, and maybe you'll finally see again.' So I made a promise to her," he continued, his voice cracking. "I disappeared, wanting to find a place where my name and my money meant nothing. I wanted to see if the world Helen remembered still existed." Maria sank onto a stool, her anger and betrayal replaced by a wave of aching empathy. She realized he wasn't a liar, not in the way she had thought. He was simply a man drowning in his own grief. "The phone calls, the visitors. I still have responsibilities," he explained. "My company was developing the new treatment that saved Amelia Vance's brother. I couldn't just let him die when I had the power to stop it." He looked down at his worn, calloused hands. "This has been more real to me than any boardroom. This work is honest. And you, Maria, have been more honest with me than anyone has in 30 years. The next morning, Leo didn't show up for his shift. The hospital was buzzing as the administrator gave a tearful press conference. An anonymous benefactor had made a donation so huge it would erase the hospital's debt. The gift would also fund a new pediatric wing for the children. It established a foundation to forgive the medical debt of its neediest patients. Maria knew it was Leo. It was his way of saying goodbye and hello. A week later, a familiar black Maybach was parked outside. Leonard Sterling stepped out wearing a simple dark suit, but his eyes were the same. They were the kind, gentle eyes of Leo the janitor. "I believe you had an idea for a clinic," he said gently to her. "I need a partner with integrity, compassion, and a gentle touch. Someone who isn't afraid to tell a billionaire he's being foolish." He gestured to the open car door, a silent invitation. "The Leonard Sterling Foundation needs a new director. The job is yours if you want it." "Your dream, Maria," he finished, "with an unlimited budget." Maria looked from his outstretched hand to the waiting car and back at the hospital. Her old life was in that building, a new one was in that car. She took a deep breath, and the weight of everything just lifted. A genuine smile finally spread across her face. She saw a new future, one she had earned by seeing the man behind the disguise, and without any more hesitation, she took his hand. "What do you think of Leonard's story? Let us know in the comments what you would have done if you were Maria. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this incredible turn of events." The story of Maria and Leonard is a powerful reminder that a person's real worth isn't in their job. It's not about their bank account, but about their character and the quiet impact they have on others. Maria saw the man, not the disguise, and unlocked a future she'd only ever dreamed of. It proves that sometimes the best connections we make are the ones that happen. They form when we think no one important is looking or paying attention. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.